That's 10 weeks of fun group fitness classes and individualized coaching for half off. And at the end of the 10 weeks, someone's walking away with $1,000 for the best transformation. Come check it out. What do you have to lose? Click on the banner at theticketfm.com to learn more. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill or 70th and Vine. And check us out online at fxblincoln.com.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, mainly sunny skies with light south winds. See an afternoon high around 93. Tonight, mostly clear with the low around 73. And tomorrow, showers and storms likely, especially in the afternoon. Some of those could be severe. See a high around 89. I'm meteorologist Kyle Klecker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Herrick Services takes this time to wish everyone a happy Labor Day. They are thankful for everyone in the workforce who makes this country great and celebrate a deserved day off to rest and reflect. This important message comes to you from Bart and the folks at Herrick Services, your vending specialist here in Lincoln. Their quality service and expertise has earned them a fine reputation. That's Herrick Services, on the air because they care.
It's time for a home technology makeover. And with special Labor Day savings on top name electronics, you can take your home, backyard, or tailgate to an all-new level. Choose from top name TVs like Sony, LG, and Samsung, including Samsung's popular frame TV that blends seamlessly into your decor. Experience game day throughout your entire home with a new audio system from Sonos, now with special Labor Day bundle savings. Transform your game day this Labor Day with the experts at Schaefer's.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting book. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln. It's the fall sports season, and that means that the school year is back in session and you're planning road trips for Nebraska football games and following your kids around to their different events. Stop telling yourself you'll upgrade your car someday and do it now. Mullen Motors Lot is full of great vehicles to take home so you don't have to worry about your current car struggling through another season. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Lake and find your next ride. As your fall schedule gets busy, you'll need a reliable way to get to your destinations. Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
It's time to go one-on-one with DP. Coming at you live from the Koppel Chevrolet GMC studios. Here is your host, Derek Pearson. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome into Ticket Weeknights. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. As always, comes 6 o'clock here. If you guys want to join in, we got, as always on Wednesday, Dave Turcotte, former national Canadian basketball player, here with us. 402-464-5685. You can put a face to the voice using the streams: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Allo, channel 961. David Turcotte, how's it going on a Wednesday night?
It is a great week. Lots going on in the world of sports, basketball. Love the fact that the NFL's going down. That's great. Big shout out, congratulations to my boy Dallin Holker of Colorado State University, signing as the tight end, making the official roster for the New Orleans Saints. Very proud of him. Great achievement on his part. So it's been sort of a celebratory week in our family as we celebrate a CSU Ram breaking into the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that sweet spot of the sports world. Everything is ramping up right now.
Yep.
We're going to talk some WNBA. I want to mix in some NBA as well, in particular tanking. Is it worth it or not? Do we actually see a success when teams decide to tank? Because we're going to have the Cooper Flag sweepstakes this year. So I want to talk about that. But then also we got time for it, college football, because we just got through week 0, a crazy week 0. And then week 1 right around the corner, Huskers got UTEP. So I want to start out with the WNBA, though. In particular, Caitlin Clark looks pissed. I'll just say that much. After the Olympic break, I believe they're 3 of their last 4 they've won, all behind really big performances from her. She also got her Division Player of the Week. What are you seeing in the WNBA right now, in particular with the Fever? Because as it sits, they got a good playoff chance.
First of all, love to see her last play in the top 10 on the ESPN top 10. That great moves. And I think the whole thing of all she does is shoot threes, I think that's over, right? Number one. Number two, I mean, she's been consistently one of the best, probably top 5 players in the league. You know, she's leading the league in assists and doing all the other stuff. If she was doing comparable stuff in the NBA, you'd be saying, wow, she's a lot like Luka or somebody like that in terms of the numbers, the way their games are played. So I think she's sending a message. I think she did exactly what every competitor should do. You know what? She got dissed. She should have been on the team. And by the way, the team was great, but you can never have too many 3-point shooters in the international game. Like we talked about the men, it applies the same for women. International game needs more threes. 3-point shooting is a lot more important there than in the NBA or the WNBA. And so I think she's pissed. She's using it as fuel. She's just, which is what she's supposed to do. And I love the fact that she's doing it. And you know what? I think you can see also other players in the league are starting to say, yeah, okay, play like they're all this. The cattiness is kind of going away while players are giving her the respect that she deserves and realize that she's a generational player, and so I think it's great, and I love the fact that she's doing it, and it's just better for everyone. That's the tide that rises all boats, and I love what she's doing, and everyone's benefiting from it, and I hope everyone stays positive and just loves the ride, love the banter back and forth as long as it stays positive about her,
Yeah, and that's the part that always kind of drives me insane. Is sometimes it feels like there's 2 competitors, especially with Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark. We saw it at the college level, and then even at the NBA level, WNBA level, you still kind of see it there. But you listen to Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark in their post-game press conferences, they really just want to talk about ball and their opponent. One thing I can't help with the WNBA, I can't help but feel like they try to politicize it almost too much. You catch some offhanded reporter questions after games that just feel like they're away from the game of basketball. What is it about the WNBA in particular? It feels like they're not doing what they can to really elevate those players and what they have.
Yeah, you know what? It's just a reality of the media. And I wouldn't even say media. It's more the impact of social media, right?
Yeah.
What's the number one thing that you care about? Engagement. What's the number one thing that drives engagement the most? Hate, anger, and resentment, right? So if you can create a fight between these 2 great players, and I would love to make a comparison. This was before your time, but if you go back, sorry, I'm talking about something that was 10 years before you were born, but in the late 70s, when Magic and Larry came on board, it was competitive, exactly the same thing. There were racial overtones. There were like, who's the best player? And everyone had their guy in their camp. But between Larry and Magic, they became great friends and are to this day, And I hope there's a lesson there for sure. But really what makes me upset is I hate the way they try to make it. And it's not fair to Angel Reese what they do. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark are 2 entirely different players. They could both have monumental, historic games, and they would never guard each other much. They wouldn't impact each other much. You know what I mean? They're in different positions. They do different things. They play differently. And so it's an unfair comparison. And everybody that plays knows that. And why they try to make it like this good girl, bad girl thing, or this white girl versus black girl thing is a terrible thing that's unfair to both of them. It doesn't respect the way they play. So I think that's a function of trying to generate engagement, which is, again, that fancy word for just emotions erupting on social media and websites and through, making people say and do stupid things. And that's it. And I think there's somebody pulling the strings somewhere that's kind of looking away, saying, well, all engagement is good engagement, so let's keep those fires burning because we're going to grow the league and we're going to make more money. I don't think players are into that. There are other people into that. And I think it's, in the long run, I think it's really hurting the league. And I almost want to see, there was a great commercial that came out for Converse back in the day that Magic and Larry were in the same one together. I'd like to see Angel and Caitlin start throwing the mix in there and saying like, hey, because I know they don't hate it. I know they respect each other.
Yeah, watch the
they
WNBA
really,
All-Star
100%, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think weren't they teammates together on the All-Star game or whatever?
Yeah, they were teammates and they played great together. They beat the USA team that was headed out there. Like, those guys clicked. You didn't see any sort of hate or resentment from either of them when they're on that roster.
Exactly. So we hope that turns around, but that's a function of the way social media works, and that takes every individual person that's connected that way to do something different. And I don't know if we can control that. So hopefully, fingers crossed that the dynamic changes, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of with the WNBA, that's my biggest fear for it, is like, don't let the storylines kind of fog what you're trying to do here. It's like you really got, for once, like, all eyes kind of on the WNBA. You got a real opportunity. Like, do not take the story to politics or even just extra noise that's going to get away from the game, because you got a beautiful product in front of you. If you want to sell the narratives around it, then you're going to have to continue to make a new narrative every single season that comes around. And that's a lot harder than just presenting two great basketball players. I shouldn't say two, because that rookie class was loaded.
They're good.
And just if you're curious, I'll give the Caitlin Clark stats for everybody who's out there listening in the car. So after that Olympic break, she arrives, they win 3 out of the last 4. She drops 29 on Phoenix, 23 on Seattle. They lose to Minnesota, but she gets 23 points there as well. In their last game, they beat Atlanta. She drops 19. All of those on a fringe of a double-double, shooting high efficiency, all about 40% to 35 at her lowest three-point range. I mean, she looks like she's finally just kind of gelled and ready to kind of take over the league. Who do you got for Rookie of the Year in the WNBA?
It's got to be her.
I think so too, right?
And it's not, and that's the one thing, I don't think it's close. Like, because and I won't compare her to Angel Reese, but because too many people do that. But with the other players, like, Angel Reese is a very, very good player, but she doesn't dominate the game. You don't win or lose. I think no one dominates a game more than Caitlin does, and no one's more valuable than their team than Caitlin is. I mean, the Fever were the absolute worst team in the league, right? So they're in the hunt now. All of a sudden, they're in there, and so she's doing great. And I think she's running away. She's the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I think so too. When with the Angel Reese, I think 15 double-doubles in a row consecutively. She's got a hell of a case, but, like, again, with Caitlin Clark, she's just had pretty historic rookie season already. The one game breaking the record with 19 assists, just some dominant three-point shooting as well. So I think she'll probably run away with it. It's going to be interesting. Do you think the intense following for the WNBA lasts as long as the Indiana Fever earn it? Do you think it's enough to garner, say the Fever get eliminated? Because as great as Clark is and what we're saying, I don't think they're going to be the team to win that thing. If the Fever drop out, are people still going to be interested and the viewership go up?
Well, we'll find out. But my gut, if I had to give a yes or no, I actually think that's why she's been so great. I think a lot of the problem that people had with WNBA was they just weren't watching the games and seeing how good these women are. And so I think there are. I guarantee you there's 3 to 5 million. I don't know what Angel Reese's Twitter following is, but you can see there are fans of these women individually. There are fans of these teams. I think there's a fan base for them. There are other teams where Caitlin's not playing, where they've got 15, 20,000 people at a game now. So, when I think of there are some pretty good teams. Asia Wilson, of course, is just absolutely fantastic. And so I think there's been such a huge swath of the country that has got the opportunity now, because of Caitlin, for the country to go, maybe there's something over here to look at. Maybe these girls can play. And then they go look and go, yeah, they can play. So are they going to keep everybody? Of course not. There are some diehards that are Caitlin only, but I think now the fan base is growing to the point where you're still going to have a viable playoffs, a viable everything. You're going to get fans. Fans are going to participate. You'll get TV viewership, because I think a lot of these other players, people are beginning to see how great they really are. And I think, so it's great for Caitlin that's the one thing I think people are coming around to, is like, she elevated everyone's else perception and openness to saying these women can play and do stuff on a high level, just like the men can. And I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, there's certainly going to be a following with a fever, but I think you're right in saying that it's going to be an uptick across the board regardless. Now, if they get eliminated, you're probably going to have some lesser viewership.
For sure.
But I still think compared to years in the past, you're going to be doing a lot better. But that being said, though, that's kind of what I got on the WNBA. Where I want to go with next, in particular with the NBA, is tanking, because we do got the Cooper Flag situation, highly touted. He's going to be going to Duke, but he's probably going to be that one and done guy. At least that's what seems the aspirations are. In your mind, in the NBA in particular, does tanking work? Do you see that as a real viable option for GMs and ownership to pull off to try to set themselves up in the future?
I mean, let's go back. Here's what I would say. Let's go back in the last 35 years. What years do you remember tanking intentionally actually ever working, right? The first instance of that I can think of was Popovich and the Spurs being getting David Robertson, who gets injured. They go back, they're back in the lottery again. They get Tim Duncan, right? That's probably the best outcome that's ever happened in the history of tanking. Agreed?
Yep.
And that wasn't that wasn't someone actually trying to lose. They were just losing badly because the mechanisms to make tanking valuable weren't, I think, as prevalent back then. So that's the thing. Then I think of, again, San Antonio Spurs, Wemby. I don't know that Popovich intentionally has ever lost a game in his life. I think they were just that bad, right? There are teams that are going to suck that absolutely should be in the lottery. So then that's the other great pick. So then, okay, Wemby, Tim Duncan, David Robertson. Okay, now you tell me, when in the last, take LeBron James out of the mix, I would say, other than LeBron in there as a draft pick, what other year would tanking have worked to change your franchise? What other player was, if only we'd gone here, not there, because the teams that missed up, by the way, like Michael Jordan, the teams, he was picked third. He wasn't picked number one, right? If you look at the top 50 greatest players of all time, how many of them are number one draft picks? Like,
not a lot.
I'm trying to think, Magic Johnson was, and I think Larry Bird might have been. I think Larry Bird came out first, Magic came out second, right? I mean, but even then, that's in the 70s, right? When the league's just being born and nobody really cares like they care today. So I'm trying to look back, and I didn't have the stats on this, and I was thinking about this for today. It's like, how many times can you actually say, we tanked, it worked, we got our guy, he's a lottery pick, and oh, by the way, as a rookie like LeBron, he's leading the league in scoring? I don't think that's ever happened, right? Rare. So even Wemby's had a great first year, but dude, I'll tell you, everybody in the league, as great as he is, boy, I worry about him getting hurt and being the next Sam Bowie or the next, Greg Oden that went to Portland and got hurt. All these big guys that, they're great for a couple years, but they're not as durable, right? So I'm telling you, if I had to look at it, if I look back 30 years of the NBA, maybe once in a decade, if you do the math, tanking might have worked if it was done intentionally, but it wasn't, right? So I don't think tanking's worth it. I think when you tank now, you absolutely give up on your future, because now you're not developing young players. You're teaching players how to lose. And when you've got the normal lifestyle of an NBA player, not every player is in the league for 9 years. So you may have 2 or 3 years to develop a player. So let's say I'm on your roster and you're tanking and you're telling me to lose. You're not just losing the game. I might be someone that would be good enough to be part of a trade to help you get a better player in free agency. So you're automatically devaluing their current players. Their stats are going in the toilet. They're clearly, you're hurting guys' minutes, you're hurting guys' stats, you're hurting morale. That's a tough thing to come back from. And the short-term losses you suffer over at least 1 or 2 years of tanking that you would try to get in the lottery, maybe 3. I mean, you do so much damage to the long-term strategic value of your organization, your long-term opportunity to win, and the development of your younger players. I would rather, that's where I would go. I think if I was a GM, I would say, hell, I'm not going to tank, but I'm just going to draft great talent or try to develop. And that's kind of what, up until Wemby, that's kind of what Pop has always done, right? When you think of Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, all these guys other than Tim Duncan. These are all guys that they drafted, foreign players and free agency, took big risks, developed them, taught them, and then they got championships. I think a long-term strategic play for developing talent with the long view and trying to win every day and always being best. I think tanking is a cultural cancer to any organization that metastasizes and turns into something that takes a lot longer than the value of that lottery pick to be gone, right? And that's why I'm sitting here going, I cannot think of a team that intentionally tanked and then cheers, we got it, we won, we got our guy, and next thing you know, we're in the regional final or the conference finals for the East or the West or whatever. I just haven't seen it.
It's rare. And just for, because we asked this before, how many number one picks have ever just won the MVP? So if you're tanking because you think this is going to be a future MVP, through the entire history of the NBA, it's only happened 11 times. And a lot of them were Magic Johnson. He was a 3-time winner. Abdul-Jabbar, 6-time winner. Bill Walton, Magic Johnson. And then you got Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, Shaq, Iverson, Tim Duncan, LeBron James, Derrick Rose. It's very rare. Now, you could make the argument where sometimes there's nuances where the Lakers, they tanked for Lonzo Ball. You can say that the players didn't, but certainly the GMs up top weren't giving them the best players, kind of controlling it without directly controlling it, not giving them, paying a lot of money for a better roster. So they would end up tanking to get Lonzo Ball. Now, Lonzo Ball wasn't the guy that was going to go win them the championship, but the package with Lonzo Ball to get Anthony Davis along with Josh Hart and Kyle Kuzma, that's in a weird way how they brought in youth of quote unquote future MVP to get what is a superstar. And in that way, you can make some sort of sense with it. If you think there's a superstar you can get. But I do think the value of having a culture that understands winning at a consistent level is constantly undervalued. So even with that, the one anecdote I can find where it kind of worked, I don't think it is a good way. I just think it's underrated.
Kind of work. Harrison, what are they, 5th in the West?
They get one ring out of it, though, is my point. If the goal is the championship, you get one.
Yeah, it's funny. I'll accept the point, but it's funny because you look back on all those years, and then you have to say cross-reference those 11 guys with intentional tanking, right? And then you go, because if you're just bad, like it's one thing to try to win. Like I love the Lakers. In fact, the Lakers is a great example. They had phenomenal pieces already there.
Really
right?
Great. Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball.
So they weren't trying to tank. They were trying to win. So Lakers with Magic not tanking at all. In fact, Lakers get Magic, it puts them over the top. Boom. I think Magic's probably the only one where you'd say number one pick, very first year, win the NBA title, MVP of the final. I mean, that's rare, but that's not tanking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, even then like you're right though. I mean, I appreciate whoever's looking up the stats for you. If it's only happened 11 times and 4 of the 11 are one guy, Magic Johnson, right? And the other guys are guys in the 70s, Kareem and Walton. Well, there's no tanking back then either. Mm-hmm. So it kind of makes the point. So I know for a fact, if people were probably thinking of tanking for LeBron, that'd be a great year to look at. Like if there were teams tanking for LeBron, because the lottery is still the lottery. You can tank all you want. That means you have a greater probability, but you're not even really a coin flip at that point. You're not even 50-50.
Well, especially in today, the way the draft order goes this year, which really surprises me that I feel still like we're seeing teams that, I think on the next segment, we'll talk about 5 teams that I think are going to give it a shot just for Cooper Flagg. Because obviously people are excited. You got to see him play with the Team USA and he looked really good. But even now where if you're the worst team, there's no guarantee that you're going to have the best odds. They changed those rules, but I feel like we're still going to see teams try it.
Yeah. And and I think that's the short-term thing, right? They are playing, hey, we're 2 out of 10. But if we don't tank, we think we're 0 out of 10. So 2 out of 10 is better than 0 out of 10 to be in the conference finals or something, right? I don't know. So, but again, for me, I think so. At the end of the day, I mean, I can see the statistical analysis of it, but the one thing that'll never show up in the stands is the permanent cancer, the damage you do to every other. If you're going to tank and get the guy, you better tank, get the guy, and then trade most of your roster because you've basically sacrificed them for this one player, and the cultural cancer of that is going to have long-term effects. So,
Absolutely. With that being said, we'll go ahead and throw it to our first break here. We got Dave Turcotte on here, as always, on Wednesday nights, one-on-one with Harrison Arns and Turcotte, with DP being out, but don't go anywhere. A couple more segments. We'll talk to you on the other side.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Your sprinklers are watering the street or flooding your backyard. If you're on a list that doesn't exist, it's time for Judson Irrigation. At Judson Irrigation, Lee or Lacey or Judson will make an appointment. You pick the time and they'll be there to fix your sprinkler system. Now that's service, a dying art these days.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
Hey there, fellas. It's your girl Jordan with Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Let's talk about trading up. Not what you're thinking. You could never trade her in, but you can trade up her stone if you like. Signify the growth of your love, the challenges you have overcome, or any part of your love journey by trading up her diamond. Whether it's been 5 years, 25 years, or 50, say it with a bling. Big love, big bling. We got you. Until next time, this is Jordan at Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Happy shopping, guys.
Constructors is now hiring for all positions, with laborers starting at $23 and up based on experience. Constructors has immediate job openings for laborers, mechanics, bridge builders, operators, and drivers. Start your new career today. Constructors offers great pay, health, dental, and vision insurance, paid time off, paid holidays, and so much more. Join the crew today and be a part of Nebraska's oldest paving company dating back to 1908. For a complete list of openings and to apply online, visit constructorslincoln.com.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Hey guys, it's Nick Sainert. High school football is back, so join me and Jay Foreman this Friday night from Pius X High School as we bring you the battle for the Spirit Sword between Lincoln Christian and Lincoln Lutheran. Kickoff is slated for 7 p.m. We'll have a pregame show coming your way at 6:45 p.m. this Friday in the battle for the Spirit Sword between the Crusaders and the Warriors right here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and Truck Month is back. We have absolutely gigantic savings right now at Koppel. They are offering $12,500 off on select new pickups. That is not a mistake. You heard right. $12,500 off list price right now on select new pickups. Those discounted units, though, will not last long. These are all manager specials. You have to come in now, so hurry in down 144th Street or shop online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. Stock number G35609. 93 must trade.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, mainly sunny skies with light south winds. Seeing an afternoon high around 93. Tonight, mostly clear with the low around 73. And tomorrow, showers and storms are likely, especially in the afternoon. Some of those could be severe. See a high around 89. I'm meteorologist Kyle Kleckert for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Husker Nation, your women's basketball team is gearing up for another incredible season, and you can be right in the heart of the action. Get your season tickets today and guarantee your spot for another year of Husker dominance. Witness every key basket, every clutch steal, and celebrate every victory with the most dedicated fans in the nation. Don't wait. Head over to huskers.com/tickets and secure your seat for this unforgettable season. Go Big Red. Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Nebraska State Veterans Homes are here to serve veterans, their spouses, surviving spouses, and Gold Star parents. Join your fellow veterans and their families at one of our homes in Bellevue, Kearney, Norfolk, or Scotts Bluff. With a sliding scale to determine your financial contribution, an excellent clinical team, and plenty of fun activities, our homes are the perfect retirement choice. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/homes. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Old School with DP and J.
And, this part of camp it happens in high school camp, when they have a certain amount of time before their game, before school starts and all that. And then it happens in college and it happens in the pros. I had more fights with some of my good friends, the guys that I'm considered lifelong friends at this point in camp, than with some, over-energized rookie trying to make a name for himself. Seriously.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. You're listening to One-on-One with DP. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in to Ticket Weeknights One-on-One with Harrison Arns and Dave Turcotte. If you guys want to join in, Starter Heyman text line always available to you, as well as the streams. On the last segment, talk some WNBA, as well as a little bit of NBA. Is tanking worth it? And to keep this NBA conversation going, over the break, we talked a little bit about some quotes from Rod Strickland about New York no longer being the mecca of basketball. I want to get your opinion on this before we even dive any deeper. I'd argue, I'm biased, maybe just a Bulls fan, I'd say Chicago was the mecca of basketball. But what are your thoughts on that when you hear that New York is no longer the mecca of basketball in the world?
I kind of agree with that in this context. When it comes to international ball, it used to be that to be a great player, and I remember as a young player myself, I actually used to get in a car and drive all night to go play pickup ball on the weekends in New York. Okay. I would literally cross the country, like leave Northern Ontario and drive, 4 hours to Toronto, 2 hours, down and get into New York and at least try to get to Buffalo. And then from there, go to New York if I was really crazy. But, at the end of the day, New York used to be the center of the basketball universe. Madison Square Garden, the center of the basketball universe venues. And it really was. And in fact, you'd hear everyone talk. You had to go play at the Rucker. You had to go play at West 4th in New York at the subway line, all of which I've enjoyed doing in my life. But I don't think it's that way anymore because now, you look at the European influence on the NBA draft. And Rod Strickland made some comments about this last week about saying, look, the international players and American players are not coming up the same way. American players are trying to get out there and get popular and get known, running up and down playing 12 AAU games a week, right? And they're just travel. Instead of playing one game a week, 6 days in the gym doing work, getting better skills, USA players are getting out. Yeah, they're talented, but they're not getting the skill work done, and they're going to over time, they're going to fall behind. So I think that the NBA draft pretty much proves that it's not about being like, if you remember back in the day when I was coming up, it was like, who's the best point guard coming out of New York or in America? Pearl Washington, David Rivers, Rod Strickland was one of those great guards and all these great New York point guards, right? Kenny the Jet Smith, right? And then, or in my day was also Daryl Dawkins or all these guys that were great players coming out of New York. Led the world in basketball. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all these guys came out of New York, right? That's not true anymore. I can't even name for you the last great New York high school phenom talent that came into the league and just decimated everybody, right? So, so if you look at so I think that the way the money and the industry of basketball, AAU and youth basketball in the USA has come in and permeated sports, social media, all these. It's now about the marketing and the dollars, but in the long run, the players are going to be great and exciting now, but it's kind of like you don't want to be peaking in the McDonald's All-American high school game and have your ability as a player decline steadily from there. And I'm worried you're going to see a lot of that. And if you watch that I tell you what, with some of the, you probably had on that team with KD, LeBron, and Steph and Team USA, those are very likely going to be three of the top, let's say 3 of the top 15 players of all time in the NBA, right?
Mm-hmm.
LeBron 1 or 2, Steph greatest shooter of all time. You got to put him up there in the top 10, right? And then KD. So 3 of the top 15 of all time, and they barely got it done. Barely. Could have lost to Serbia, could have lost to France. And that's something that you would never have heard of before. And I think you're seeing the way that, like I said, all the things happening in the way that Europe. And by the way, this context here for me as a Canadian is we're looking at it saying, wait a minute, we can't have our focus be build a structure that allows people to funnel into the NBA, and that's what serves Canada basketball. And for Canada to win Olympic Games internationally and to compete internationally, we're saying, wait a minute, we've got to take a more European approach. Yeah, we want players to play in the NBA, but what are we doing with these young players coming up? How are we training them? What are we preparing for? Having different kinds of players with different skill sets developed in a different way. So the Europeans have a long-term play. Next Olympics is going to be in LA, but man, it's going to be even more competitive. And the next
talked about that last time.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah, and we talked about that last time. It's like I think this LA might be the last one I give the nod for the gold medal before I call the upset. Because I think that home crowd matters. I think it certainly affected France and helped them out quite a bit to try to help them push them, give them that extra bit of room to try to make that push. But yeah, when we get to 32, when it's no longer in the U.S., it doesn't feel like. I mean, it's out there. There's evidence the rest of the world is catching up. Does the USA fix this problem before they take that big loss, or do you think this is something where, unfortunately, USA basketball might have to fall flat on their face, lose in a shocker game before they really start to retool how we bring up the youth?
You know what? I actually, okay, so there's two sides of this, right? If I'm Adam Silver running the NBA, okay, secretly, I want the Euros to come in here and win in LA and have Canada, Canada, I want Canada to win, but Canada, Serbia, Brazil, name France, name a great team, right? Spain, they come in and win, shock the world. It'll be great to energize, American young players will be mad and they'll all be practicing 3 hours a day more in the gym to avenge the terrible loss. But it also means that the global game for the NBA is expanded. The NBA, there is no economy in the world that can support the NBA like the United States. All great players. So Adam Silver's looking at it like, for me in the NBA, it's awesome. The talent pool that I can pull from now is not just 3 major cities in the USA, right? Now it's global. It's literally every kid in the world watches my league. By the way, how good were those kids from South Sudan? You don't think there's a couple kids there that could, and I'm not just talking athletic ability. Forget, those guys were shooting it.
Yeah,
they were
multiple
plays and
about 40% at 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", hitting 3-pointers at a 40% clip.
So think about how Adam Silver is quietly loving the fact that international rivalries and this Canada being able to come in and say, we're kind of knocking on your door, and guess what? This is no longer a lay down. You got to play to win, and you better play great. And so, like I said, if Steph Curry doesn't have historically the greatest gold medal game in the history of the world, they lose to France. They lose. If Steph Curry has just a good game from 3. So I love the fact. So I don't think the NBA, I think there's going to be a Team USA loss because I don't think the economic incentives until how young players are coming up is ever going to change. There's no 19-year-old kid that's going to say, you know what, I'm not going to go to this tournament where they're going to pay me $50,000 and maybe I can get a shoe contract to stay home and work. They're going to continue to get out there and do the business side as they should. They got to take care of their families. But what that means is they're going to play the game with a short-term perspective. Adam Silver is going to love it because the talent pool, the more the game goes global, the more opportunities for players from France, South Sudan, Italy, Serbia, Canada, Australia to play in the NBA. That for the NBA and all the money pouring into NBA and NBA sponsors to elevate that's the best thing that ever happened to the NBA. So all the economic drivers are going in the wrong direction for the USA to change tack. And I'm predicting, if not this one, certainly the next one, the USA is not going to win gold in one of the next 2.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And to wrap up this segment, I'll ask this because the NBA game I shouldn't say NBA because there's plenty of other pro leagues out there, but basketball is growing as a whole everywhere else in the world, but viewership in the U.S. is consistently been up and down, more often down than, especially after the whole COVID ordeal. The numbers really never got back to what they were, and you constantly see them just slowly slip a little bit on average. What is it about USA, NBA basketball where our viewership's declining, but then across the world, you look at all the other pro leagues, their viewership is continuing to go up?
Compare it to soccer, right? Like, look at it this way. Soccer viewership and attendance, I don't think ever goes down around the world, right? Because like if you're, in fact, it's funny watching soccer games with my kids or my friends. It's like, if you're like if you're like Manchester, that's it. That's it for you're. And I watched the whole Ted Lasso thing. I love it. Like, if that's my team forever. It's my town. It's my team. It's my community, right? So in a way, that's what the NFL has cultivated, right? Like, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan and you live in Texas, that's your team. Philadelphia Eagles, that's your team forever, right? And that's where I think the NBA has more of an individual star-driven approach as opposed to an organizational-driven marketing strategy. And because of that, people follow players more than they follow teams. So they're going to go wherever LeBron goes, or they're going to go wherever, KD goes, or, in the younger cats, I just think that the difference with the European side of it, I think the game is going to have to go global. I think it will. I think it's inevitable, and I think it would be fantastic if there was a world basketball, not a WBA, because if the NBA goes global, I'd love to see that. But yeah, man, I'm telling you, it's like after a while, and I'll tell you, like, look at that France USA game. That was a damn exciting game.
Yeah, and you mentioned it before. It should have been.
Here's a straight up question for you. What would you have rather watched? Quality of a basketball game. USA versus France gold medal game. This year's Celtics win NBA championship game. Which game was more entertaining?
USA, France, every time.
That's the problem. See, the product is different. In the end, what's on the floor is the product, right? And the product is, I just think that there's more passion, more excitement. So we'll see. It's going to be a fun thing to transition. And believe me, look at Adam Silver and the guys that are running the league. Those are smart guys. They're going to do what they got to do. They're trying to figure this out as well. But it's going to be the next 10 years of basketball is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and to wrap this thing up, I'll tease what I want to talk about on the last segment. Speaking about how the game is growing globally right now, there's just so many great players coming out of every pocket in the world. Feels like the perfect time to maybe really push ahead that expansion, especially with that second tax apron existing as well. So we'll talk about that. Is now the time, if you're the NBA, to go ahead and add expansion teams. So don't go anywhere. One-on-one with Dave Turcotte, Harrison Arns on the board back at the 1040 Ticket Studios. We'll talk to you on the other side.
Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It's time for a home technology makeover. And with special Labor Day savings on top name electronics, you can take your home, backyard, or tailgate to an all-new level. Choose from top name TVs like Sony, LG, and Samsung, including Samsung's popular frame TV that blends seamlessly into your decor. Experience game day throughout your entire home with a new audio system from Sonos, now with special Labor Day bundle savings. Transform your game day this Labor Day with the experts at Schaefer's.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, mainly sunny skies with light south winds. We'll see an afternoon high around 93. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 73. And tomorrow, showers and storms likely, especially in the afternoon. Some of those could be severe. We'll see a high around 89. I'm meteorologist Kyle Klecker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Ready to add a dash of Southern flavor to your week? At Wings and Rings, their brand new Southern fried wings have arrived for a limited time. Indulge in the irresistible goodness of large, traditional bone-in wings coated in a crispy beer batter and fried to perfection. Try them with hot honey or any other sauces. And for those busy summer days coming up, look no further than their Southern Fried Wings Family Bundle. Wings and Rings, 2 Lincoln locations on O Street or Village Lane.
Hey Husker Nation, this is Todd Euler, two-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at windowworldlincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. And Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just the professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
The Link Grill, Draft, and Crafts is your spot in Southeast Lincoln for great food and drink. They're serving new menu items and a killer craft cocktail menu with your favorite draft beers. You'll love their pizza and new entree options. It's a great place to watch any live events, and they have music bingo every month. They have an aggressive loyalty program that rewards fans with 7% back on all purchases. Home of the Nebraska Power Hour every night from 8 to 9 p.m. Order online at thelnkgrill.com or stop in at 84th and Highway 2 today. College football season is back, and you can hear the top games all year long here on 93.7 The Ticket. Our slate of action starts on Thursday this week with PJ Fleck and the Minnesota Golden Gophers looking to row the boat against Mac Brown and the North Carolina Tar Heels. Pregame starts at 6:30 with kickoff set for 7 o'clock. On Saturday, quarterback Cam Ward and the new-look number 19 Miami Hurricanes kick off their season by heading to the Swamp to take on head coach Billy Napier and the Florida Gators. Kickoff for the Canes and Gators starts at 2:30 p.m. Catch the action on the gridiron all season long here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Old School with DP and J.
And, this part of camp it happens in high school camp, when they have a certain amount of time before their game, before school starts and all that. And then it happens in college and it happens in the pros. I had more fights with some of my good friends, the guys that I'm considered lifelong friends at this point in camp, than with some, over-energized rookie trying to make a name for himself. Seriously.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Midwest Bank is proud to be your local community bank right here in Lincoln. This is Abby with Midwest Bank. Stop by our new location at 70th and Pioneers. Our new full-service branch does it all. From our friendly staff to our easy online banking and mobile app, you get all the technology of a big bank that you need, but you still get the hometown customer service that you want. Your community, your bank. Midwest Bank. Learn more at midwest.bank. Member FDIC.
The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
September 17th, 1994 was the first what? Let me think for a second.
Game against UCLA, number 13 UCLA in town. College game day was here, but that's not what he's talking about.
I played in that game. I had a couple carries in that game. You give it to you? Please give it to me. September 17th, 1994 was the first year of the tunnel walk, and it has been going on for 3 decades later. I was there, but you don't. It was a blur. It was all a dream.
You're listening to One on One with DP. Sponsored by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment, one-on-one with Harrison Arndt and Dave Turcotte. We've been talking some WNBA and some NBA. And to wrap things up, don't worry, we will talk Husker football. We got the former Husker, Demorne Pearsonell, for the second hour. But for this one, to wrap it up, you hear Adam Silver talking about it pretty often, especially as of these past 2 seasons, adding some expansion teams. And we've been talking a lot about just how much better talent-wise the world's gotten in terms of great players. Is now the time to go ahead and start putting this thing together? And just to play devil's advocate for people listening, why you wouldn't do this is you don't want to dilute the product to where a team-by-team basis, the average is worse than it was before. So Turcotte, is now the time to go ahead and try this.
Oh, yeah, and I would do, I'll tell you, I think the top choices are Seattle, Vancouver, Montreal, Canada, and Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you right now, Mexico City would make money hand over fist. First of all, I mean, Mexico City is as big as it's what, 18 million people?
Yeah, and they get behind their sport.
Mexico City by itself is half the size of Canada, the entire country. Okay, so if you put a franchise there, it would be over. And the thing is, Mexico City's not that far. You know, if you're thinking about flights, if you put them in the Western Conference, right? I mean, LA. I mean, that's a 2-3 hour flight. It's no different than flying to the East Coast.
Yeah,
right?
it's really travel time. It makes sense. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's the same as playing teams up in Canada. If they add, it's already like playing Toronto. It's really, depending on where you are, not that bad of a flight.
Yeah, and so I think it would be great. But anyway, but I'll tell you right now, a hotbed, a city that would absolutely, because Seattle had a franchise and lost it. Vancouver had a franchise and lost it. Toronto's doing great. Montreal would be an absolutely basketball crazy. I mean, why do you think we got Lou Dort, Montreal, Ben Mathurin, Montreal? And Montreal has an amazing basketball community, an amazing basketball culture. And I think if I was to say 2 cities that the NBA needs to go to right now, if you go to Montreal, every French-speaking country kid in the world is going to go for them. And that includes much of Africa, Europe. I mean, think of all the places around the world that are speaking French that would identify with a team that had a French identity, or at least part of the identity being French. And then you bring in Mexico City, that would basically be the gateway to all of Latin America. I mean, it would be incredible. And at that point, literally, I think the world's head would explode because as soon as you bring in language and culture and you expand the NBA that way, that's why soccer is so amazingly huge and bigger than NFL or basketball as a global sport that everyone lives and breathes every day, is because of the cross-cultural things, right? It's more about country. It's about language and culture and identity and all these great things in sport. And if you add those 2 franchises, I think the NBA would explode. I mean, more than it is now. I think then you'd get back into a national, global, more than national, a global consciousness. And there's how your ratings start to go, right?
Yeah. And then maybe Noah Lyles will let you take the claim of world champions if you bring those guys in there.
That's right. That's right.
Mexico City, I'm glad you brought them up. I don't know if you caught when NFL played a game in Mexico City. I can't remember the 2 teams. Sartor Hammond text line. If you want to guess it, I'll give you some Salt Dogs vouchers. But Mexico City, the way they got behind the NFL, which surprised me. I didn't think there was going to be something they were super interested in. But they were out, and it was one of the most exciting, fun games that a lot of the players, even talking to the NFL players after, they were pumped. I mean, they would love to go do it again. So Mexico City, you talked about the population, just bringing the cultures together. You certainly get one step closer to what soccer is. You bring in the culture with it. Now you're really playing with some fireworks and passion in terms of sports.
Oh, 100%. And there is a whole other fan base that, what would be amazing is to watch. In Mexico City is so big. Think about it. If you were the Mexico City, NBA team, well, then you'd have fans. You'd have literally tens of thousands of fans in Mexico City that were fans of the Celtics, the Raptors, the Lakers, the Suns, whoever they're playing. So I think the dynamic of what it would create and all of the engagement that it would create is in the most positive way would be phenomenal. I would love to see it. I'd love to see the global expansion. I think Mexico City and Montreal are the 2 best choices of all the other choices.
Yeah, and lucky enough, at least for me and you, I think we'll be able to actually get to see it. I don't know if it's going to be Mexico City, But they're definitely and he's mentioned Mexico City before, so it's definitely a thought. They're not taking it lightly. Since this is the last time we'll talk to you before Husker football has officially kicked off, they got UTEP. They're favored. The spread is 27.5. Dave Turcotte, I know you're not the biggest Husker football fan, but what's your score if they beat for the UTEP Miners this Saturday, 2:30 kickoff? What's your score prediction?
41-17.
I can live with that. 41-17.
That all the way.
That's perfect. Yeah, you're speaking to the right crowd here. That's going to wrap it up for One-on-One with Dave Turcotte. Shout out to him every Wednesday on time as always. Harrison Arns on the 1s and 2s. We'll keep it rolling, though. Don't Punt Hour with the former Husker himself, DeMornay Pearsonell. We'll go from 7 to 8 o'clock. Turcotte, appreciate the time as always. We'll do it again next week.
See ya.